The corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you will find real, authentic conversation. Organic conversation. Like you're at home with your cousin. It's about life. It's about finance. It's about spirituality. It's about love. And everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey to explore life. Listen, let's sit back and enjoy a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on, a wide range of spectrum of thoughts. My goal is to create a space for all of us to connect, all of us to learn each other, and all of us to communicate. It's really not about me. It's about a community as a whole. Let's enjoy this. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. It's your boy, Cousin Ed. We are back. We are back with another one. I'm at a loss right now. I'm not sure. I have a beautiful queen on today, and I feel like it's when my sister wins, we all win. But I feel like it should be a Friday show because it feel like Friday. Having fun Friday or Freaky Friday or just laid back on Friday, because this sister right here is truly my my friend, your BFF, your Tech BFF. She is changing the game out here, especially for AI and technology that's brand new, that's immersing in this 21st or 2023 now? Lord, time is flying. That she's teaching us and trying to get us in our community aware of. So I wanted to bring her on today to have some fun with me, talk about her past, talk about how she got into tech, and what's new out here in technology. So my homegirl, my BFF, my Tech BFF, Leah, how are you doing today? Welcome to Cousin Ed's Corner.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to finally get to chat with you. I know we've been going back and forth on TikTok. I'm doing great. I'm just really excited to be here and chat with you.
I'm definitely excited to have you. It's amazing. Like you said, we were going back and forth, and I was following you because I'm so much into this new AI experience. Let me say that much. And I saw you out there. I said, I got to reach out to you and see if you're willing to come on and visit with your cousin.
Oh, well, I appreciate it because, I'm new to the TikTok game, and it was, you were one of my first fans. So it felt good to get props from you, have you engage with my content, and really just kept me going on TikTok, sharing, my passion and love for technology and AI. So I appreciate you. And yeah, I'm excited to chat.
Well, I appreciate that. I know for myself, it's kind of a new place for me, TikTok and any kind of social media. And I'm not a social media person, and I'm coming more and more having to do it. So I know how hard it is to find people out there that you resonate with, people that follow you and support you and will stay with you. So not only did I do it because of the tech, I know how it is to be out there and putting out content and wanting people to just put a heart next to it. Just put a heart. That's all I need you to do. I saw this one TikTok, somebody said, I done did all this and knew I had the best video. And I come back and only one other person saw it. So that was my mama.
You're right. No, it's not easy to put yourself out there and not know what you're going to get. But it's been a really great experience with people like you following me and just encouraging me. So I'm having a lot of fun.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. So let's dive into who you are. It sounds corny every time, but I don't want the pamper story. I just want to know who you are, what got you to the point of being so interested in technology, and getting you to the point of coming on and wanting to share yourself with more people and letting them know about just emerging things in technology?
Yeah, so I am the oldest of four kids. My parents are immigrants, hardworking immigrants, and they're from the Dominican Republic. So hard work and that type of ethic has been ingrained in me since I was little. And, my dad was an entrepreneur. He was a hustler. He was out there making things happen. Nothing was really given to us. Everything was earned.
Mm.
And, when I reflected back on this, I realized that from a young age, I always had technology in my hands, right? I knew that I always had a curiosity and kind of like an obsession with tech. But I realized I really owe that to my parents. My dad really was kind of on the cutting edge of technology. I remember having Nintendos when I was younger. I was like a kid and I had a handheld TV. My bed was high tech. My bed had a radio and a cassette player in, and I'm talking about the 80s. Like tech isn't what it is now.
Hold on,
So
hold on. You said 80s, and you look like you're a 90s baby. So
well, I
don't tell me
appreciate that.
stories over here. Don't tell no stories.
Don't make me bring out my driver's license. Yeah, so I was fortunate to be exposed to technology from a very young age, and I was curious about it. I remember playing on a computer that was my dad's. Back in the 80s, it didn't do much, right? It was just like literally a black screen. All you could do was type. But I was fascinated. I was just like, what is this little device that I can type on and see, these numbers and digits come on the screen? So that's really where my fascination with technology came, was just having that exposure at such a young age. And fast forward, through high school, I played sports. I was an athlete. My family's Dominican, so of course I played baseball, played basketball, all of those. I was in every sport. And when it came time to go to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. My parents wanted me to be a lawyer. I always asked them, I was like, what kind of shady things are you trying to get into that you want me to be a lawyer? But they really wanted me to be a lawyer. And, they lived in New York, and then we migrated to Florida. So I didn't really have a lot of exposure to different, jobs or careers. You kind of just knew you could be a doctor, a lawyer, nurse, etc. So when I went to college, I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and I went to like a little seminar talking about law, and the first thing they said was, if you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to read a lot of books and you're going to write a lot. And those were not my strengths. I did not love reading. I did not like writing. I love reading now, but that was not my strength back then. So it was kind of back to the drawing board. So I ended up getting the book of majors that they give you at the college. And I kid you not, Cousin Ed, I went through that entire book and kind of checked off the majors. And I was like, nope, I don't think that's for me. Maybe. And, when I got to the major, computer and information science, I was like, I really, we got a computer in 95. Spent a lot of time in that. I've been attracted to technology. I don't really know what this major is about, but let me check it out. So I ended up going and getting my bachelor's in computer science and business. So it was kind of a hybrid, and graduated with that. And then I stuck around for a couple of extra years and got my master's in computer and information or computer engineering. Yep.
Excellent. So you brought back and said 80s. I'm going to respect you and say, okay, but I really think it's 90s. I think you already had, technology. You already had cell phones when you came, but it kind of is very similar to my story and my father introducing technology to me very early, putting a computer or putting handheld, like little small computers, spelling things in front of me, and me always wanting to learn more about it. And even like you said, the computers being just a screen, I rewrote my first code or program on a Tandy computer from Radio Shack, and it was a book. You didn't buy, you didn't go get a game. You wrote your code and you saved it on a cassette tape, and then you played it back. And my first game was what was it? I Declare War, I believe. So you hit X,
Hmm.
not X, you hit J for a jack, and then the computer put back a K. It wasn't any. It's all letters. It wasn't any
Yep.
pictures. When no hearts. So I remember that. No, blackjack. Not black. Not I Declare War. Blackjack. So it was going back and forth to see who wins a higher number. But it's very parallel to my father putting it in front of me,
Hmm.
and my dad having so much technology when it came to the point of him getting a Nissan Maxima that talked and said your door is open. I was like, what is this? Knight Rider. I thought I had Knight Rider in my house. So I definitely understand that. And very similar to you, I went to high school. You said New York. I'm from Brooklyn, so big up to all of my immigrant community from Brooklyn. But I went to Brooklyn, and I went to school in Brooklyn and technical school, and didn't know what I wanted to do in college. But I
Hmm.
knew technology had something to do with it. And, I was taking HVAC, which is totally different than computers. But when I got to college, I looked at the majors, and I'm telling you, it's so parallel. I
That's
was like,
funny.
all of this right here is not for me. I don't want to do all these
Yeah.
books. I don't know. Let me do something I could sit by myself and learn, teach
Hmm.
myself, and computers became it. So
I love
I
that.
applaud you for staying, because I did not stay. I wish I would have stayed, but I applaud you for staying and going back and getting your master's and everything. So um, what area did you focus on after that? What studies of computers engineering did you focus on?
It was, well, the thing was is back then it really wasn't what it is now, right?
Hmm.
It's not as popular. Like now everybody, it's trending. Everybody wants to be a programmer. So it was pretty much kind of everything, right?
Hmm.
Learning the basics, the fundamentals, learning how operating systems work, learning algorithms, right?
Hmm.
Networking, those types of things. So it wasn't really a focus. It was kind of like, hey, these are all the things, build some programs, understand what it's like to program a computer, create code, right? And so that back then it was like C++ and Java, right? It
Hmm.
was a language, and
Leaving Cobalt.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of like towards the end of that.
Yeah.
COBOL, people were still talking about it, but when I went to college, like wireless wasn't even popular,
Hmm.
right? Like there was no wireless on campus. You had to get a card to put it into a laptop. Most people didn't even have laptops, so it
Hmm.
was a different time. So I had no idea what type of job I was going to get. So it was pretty early on in this tech boom that we're seeing now. There was very few females, right? It was
Hmm.
like me and two other women. It was not a diverse group of people, so it was a different time. So I love seeing how many women now are getting into technology, and that's one of my passions, is also getting more women and people of color in tech.
Well, we definitely have a friend of the show. I'm going to put you in contact with after the show to make sure that she knows about you and you know about her. But D Lovely, I don't know if
Hmm.
you've heard her episode. She's actually vice president at Equifax,
Oh, okay,
vice
nice.
president of technology at
I love
Equifax.
that.
And I'd love for y'all to link up, because her story is very similar to ours, and going out and not knowing what she wanted to do, but studying and studying and studying. And she moved up through the ranks of several companies, and now the vice president of technology at Equifax, a Fortune 100 company. And this is amazing. So I definitely want to link you all up so you can speak with her. And, she's doing some big things over there, just like yourself. So
Okay.
moving along, like you said, was no focus on what leaving school, what you was going to study, but what was some of your first jobs that you picked up and took on?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I did, I was a good student since, forever. Like I was had to get the good grades, A B student, graduated with honors, all of that. And, there's always a twist, right? So
Mm-hmm.
after graduating with a master's degree in 2005, computer science and engineering,
Mm-hmm.
I moved out to California and could not find a job.
Mm.
Yeah, so it was a tough time. It was a hit to the ego, and it was one of those things where it was like, oh my god, like I did all the right things. I got the degree,
Mm-hmm.
I studied, I got the grades, but I'm not getting the job. So when I moved out here, I was at the point where, I left home where my parents are, drove across the country, like money was running out. And remember Blockbuster?
Yeah.
Blockbuster Video? I was about to go get an application at Blockbuster Video with a master's degree in computer science.
Mm-hmm.
But after some time, I was able to get a job, not necessarily in computer programming or software development. I got a job at a very small mom and pop company where I was basically a field technician. I
Okay.
was working with a company supporting businesses in the Bay Area and basically being their IT support, whatever they
Mm-hmm.
needed. They needed servers to be installed, they needed desktop support, networking. So I was able to get a job here and stay in California, which was super important to me. And that actually pivoted my entire trajectory. And I'm looking back, it was hard at that time, but it was the best thing that happened to me. Because what I realized through that journey was that I love technology, but I really like being the bridge. I don't necessarily want to be coding. I like
Mm-hmm.
being the bridge with getting people to understand technology, helping people adopt technology. And that was the beginning of that journey, was like learning the behind the scenes and kind of getting my hands dirty with tech, and then starting to focus and getting lots of exposure.
Speaking of getting your hands dirty, a lot of people don't. I relay this back to planting something and planting a seed. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to plant the seed and put the work
Yeah.
in and cultivating the seed, cultivating the land, tilling the land, working the land, but they want the fruit of their
Yeah.
labor. They want the fruit without the labor. Let me say that much. They want the fruit without the labor. And sometimes you have to go through the labor before you get the fruit. And many times we have to. And if you don't do it, the fruit sometimes is spoiled. So
Yeah.
God put you in that reason, in that season for he put you in that season for a reason, so you can learn from it and cultivate you to who you are today. Because if you came out there and went into a firm and got the first high paying
Mm-hmm.
job that you
Yeah.
had, who knows where you would be now. But he wants you to walk this walk for a reason. So always believe that he put you there for a reason. So
I think you're 100% right. It was kind of like hitting that hurdle that I had to overcome,
mhm.
that really changed my life, right? Because, like you said, if I would have just gotten the job, everything would have just been a little too easy.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot that you learn through the struggle, through, not necessarily getting the thing and having to figure out and navigate through difficult times.
Yes, indeed. So you worked for them for a while. You learned the ins and outs. You learned the behind the scene,
Mm-hmm.
and you said, "Now I want to be the bridge. I want to help others understand technology, possibly the way, maybe not fully the way I understand it, but in a layman's term, and break it down for them. I can talk to both sides. Kind of remind me of technical instructor, someone you could bring into your company that can actually relay it to the customer. Working with your engineers also can decipher everything, but
Mm-hmm.
putting curriculum together, I could see that in possibly. Is that somewhere like?
Yeah, a little bit down the line. So after doing that for about 7 years, right, it was kind of like very broad. I did a little bit
Mhm.
of everything. I ended up even installing phone systems and training people. So it was a very broad understanding and experience in what it takes to have tech, what it takes in order for a company to have technology, right? It's all
Mhm.
of the ins and outs in order to support a company. So after doing that, it was kind of like too broad. And it was like, I feel like I know a lot, but I don't know enough deeply in any of these subjects. So then I went and started focusing on networking, and I got a job at the best company I ever worked and basically spent 10 years there. And I
Mhm.
started again at the bottom, as a technical support engineer, just picking up the
Mhm.
phone. And that's where it was like kind of being that bridge, helping people with technology, helping them understand how to use the technology, understanding how to fix problems in the technology. And that's kind of where my career started pivoting. And then I ended up moving into sales type roles.
Hmm. So you went through a lot of reset, reboot, replace.
Hmm. Yes,
Go
it
down.
was
Go
a
down.
it was a bumpy ride.
Listen, go down to the bottom left hand corner, please. Click start. I feel it.
Yeah,
I feel it.
you learn how to communicate with people when you can't see what they're doing and you need to navigate.
Yes.
You learn to be patient. There's a lot that you learn.
Can you
It
type
was a
in
fun ride.
CMD for me, please? Yeah, I get it. I've been through all those, and I'm still sitting here laughing at you. And you said 10 years, and I'm looking at you like you just got out of college, and I'm just honestly I can't believe it. But it's funny how time goes. It's
Ooh,
funny how time goes. I'm 20 plus years in this, and it seems like yesterday I just got out. And looking back, coming to my first job, I remember getting on the elevator that day, when they gave out the badges, and I went to a class, and I sat in class for a couple 6 weeks. I was in class for 6 weeks and thought that I could learn the job. And my first day on the phones, like you said, on the phones, my first day I was answering calls, and the call queue was at 100 when I came in, and it was at 100 when I left that same day. And I got on the elevator and said, I'm not coming back.
wow.
And like you said, 10 years later, I was still at the same company. Luckily, I was able to progress throughout the
Hmm.
ranks, but you never know when you walk in the door,
Yeah,
what can you expect? But you have to start somewhere. So
yeah, 100%.
definitely. So we're gonna fast forward. You're now, you know, in today's society, and things are changing so rapidly. Like you said, there was no Wi-Fi, it was no cellular, it was none of that was around. And we're coming into today's society, the 2020s. Let me say that much, the 2020s, and we're on some new Jetson. I want to say another word, but this is cousin Ed's corner. We're on some Jetson mess, right? And for those who haven't watched the Jetsons, we're on some new stuff. And what made you want to learn more about it? Was it something your job was already doing, or just something you took interest to? What made you want to get into AI and technology a little further?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that. So I was at my job. I started doing sales. I was pivoted from a technical role, moved to sales, and started over again, and had to go through that upward progression, and was doing that for a couple of years, and then ended up being, started at the bottom. Didn't know if I was going to be good at it. Ended up being the number one salesperson on my team. Went out, with my partner, and we celebrated. And I came back and had heard that my sales engineer partner, he was my first partner when I transitioned to sales, had passed away.
Mm.
And that was kind of like a punch in the gut and just like shook my reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd been at the company for 10 years. I talked about, taking a break, taking a sabbatical, and, giving myself some time, because since graduating, I've just been on this hustle. So I kept thinking now's not a good time. It's going to be expensive. I don't know if I want to do this. But after losing, my friend and my colleague, he just gave me the strength to do it. Losing someone like that so unexpectedly, so young, I was like, you know what? He knew what I wanted to do. He knew that I wanted to eventually be an entrepreneur. He knew that I wanted to take time off. Like, I want him to be a part of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's now forever part of my journey. So I ended up taking a sabbatical from work, taking a year off, and basically around that time, ChatGPT, this AI boom was pretty much in the beginnings, and I had space and time to play with technology again, right? I got to be
Mm-hmm.
the little girl that was in front of the blank screen and just play.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got, into AI, and gave myself the space and the opportunity to just play around with tech and see what is this AI about? Because when I was in school, AI was just, it was an idea. It was
Mm-hmm.
so much in the beginnings, and now it's a reality. So it's really, really exciting.
Well, I definitely will not pass over what you just said and want to give my regards to you and your other colleagues, his family, and
Yeah.
everyone that um known your friend, that he's touched their life. So I want to give my regards to him, and just like we're gonna keep saying, God does things for a reason, and you never know what that reason is. And you can I ain't gonna say be selfish, but you can say what he did for you out of this, and he emerged a new you and birthed a new
Yeah.
you from it, and he touched other families, other people in different ways. So that's just the flower that God gave you, the plant that grew out of this
Hmm.
to give you that time. And whoever would have thought you would have took the time, and so definitely want to give our respect to your friend and colleague.
I
But
appreciate
and
that.
definitely. But for you to go and take the space and everything else, sometimes you have to get away. Sometimes you have to
Hmm.
get away. I Some of us follow sports, and I think it wasn't Aaron Rodgers or one of them goes away to a dark place every year for sabbaticals. Like there's no light when it's dark. It's dark, and they stay in the dark. But anybody, we need time to get our thoughts together. We run, we run, we run.
Hmm.
We need quietness. We need peace. We need quiet. And for me, my quiet time came during COVID. Right, I was running, and I caught COVID pretty bad. And God shut me down and said, "You need to slow down." And I couldn't do anything. And He lets you awaken and say, what life is really about. And after that point, I wanted to live more. I wanted to live, not only just exist. I wanted to live more.
Exactly.
So you never know what He has planned for us. So moving into technology, moving into AI, is very new for the masses. For us in technology, you heard about Watson. That was probably the biggest commercial AI piece that we knew of. And I was joking around with somebody recently, and then we talking about I was giving a reference of AI, and they were saying using macros and micros, to run something for you. Right, that was the amazing thing. You could hit a control whatever, and it'll run the whole program for you, and you'd be like, "Man, this is amazing." But having something that's intuitive also to go out and do the rest of it. You're a program. Yeah, I was you program a macro, but imagine it could think of the next thing you wanted to do. It was no if and then. It's thinking of the if and then. So for many people who don't understand what artificial intelligence is, can you explain more? With me and you, we're talking like we know, but can you explain more of what they're seeing now, what they're hearing about?
Yeah, I think specifically a lot of people have heard about ChatGPT. I think this is like the most ChatGPT is like the most popular, most you know user friendly AI tool out there, right? Before it was probably very difficult for people to use AI, and with ChatGPT, it's become accessible, so anyone can use it. And the thing about ChatGPT is that it's like texting someone, right? It's like there's another person on the other side. It's a pre-trained, generative pre-trained transformer is what it stands for, and essentially it is generating content based on what you provide it. So that's the exciting part, is that it's able to take a prompt, a question, an idea, and give you feedback. So there's so many different ways that you can use it. And what I think is really powerful about this technology is the ability for us to get some of our time back, right? Because now we have artificial intelligence, which basically can take things that would take hours to do. Now we
Mm-hmm.
can do these in minutes, right? So I like to use it to brainstorm ideas. I
Mm-hmm.
like to use it to create content. So there's a number of different ways to use this technology, but the big thing to know is that it is user friendly today, and it's able to provide brand new information to help us in our day to day lives.
That's a great way to break it down. As you was talking, I was sitting here thinking about artificial intelligence and how I think one thing that people may have seen in the last 4 to 5 years, was some of the artificial intelligence with stage performances like a Whitney Houston or a Michael Jackson, right? So that's what is it called? The graphics,
The
the
holograms.
CGI, and all of that.
Hmm.
So imagine you can program a response back from that person using their any past history you have from them. And I seen this on 60 Minutes where they had someone going into a room, sitting down with another individual, asking a question, and the computer had so much information on the individual, the computer knew
Hmm.
what the individual may say. So you may say, how was it to be in the Holocaust? I think it was about Holocaust survivors. They were trying to collect all of the history because after the last Holocaust survivor is gone, you won't have their history. So it was collecting all of
Hmm.
the history orally, and then it was transcribing it, and it was giving you back a person who can answer those questions. So how was it to be in Germany at this time, XYZ? And from all the information it compiled, it put back out a real person, basically a real person, to come back and answer those questions. So as I heard you talking, it reminded me of that. Imagine you can put all this together and ask any question and get your time back. So instead of going to a professional, you have a chat GPT or any kind of technology.
Yeah, and that's a really good use case for it. And that's the thing, is that with this technology is that it has all of the information. It's programmed with all of the information from the internet. And the problem today is that there's too much information, right? The old way
Mm-hmm.
of getting information was Googling, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
we're overloaded with information. We're overloaded with things to do. And I was feeling that in my day-to-day job. I was like, there's so much information, there's emails, all of these things that are pulling my attention.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a better way for us to work. And so I think we've gotten to that breaking point where it's like, okay, there's too much information. We need to change the way we work. So I feel like AI has really gotten here at the time that it really needs to be here in order to help us be more effective, be more efficient, and not be burnt out, right? Because a lot of us are burnt out because of the information overload. So these devices are getting to the point where we're going to be able to have these assistants be able to take our commands and execute things for us.
Well, I love this conversation. I'm not going to stay. I'm going to talk on one more point before we end the show and bring you back for another one. But you spoke about being burnt out. Now, is there a possibility of technology taking over or doing more than what we would want it to do? And I'm gonna give an example. I was in Sam's Club the other day, and a robot machine AI was going around on a cart scanning each aisle, right? And this thing was so smart. A kid was in front of it and somebody was behind it, and it stopped, it beeped, moved a millimeter, right? Small inch, let them know they was behind it, waited, turned left, turned right, and got itself around the next person. That's how smart it was.
Mm-hmm.
And all it was doing was scanning how high each item was in its aisle. In one aisle, I watched it for a while because I was amazed by it. One aisle, it wanted to go down. So it's doing a zigzag, up, down, up, down. One aisle, a couple was standing in the front of the aisle talking. It stopped for a second. It waited and said, okay, I'll go to the next aisle. It went to the next aisle. I promise you, I watched it. It went to the next aisle and looped around. So instead of going loop, 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 it looped back around and came back down the aisle instead of going up the aisle, and came to the bottom of the aisle where the people were still standing, and waited another however long it waited. I had to go at that point, but I was amazed by technology. But as I sat there and watched it, a man walked by who works at Sam's and said, I used to do that.
Mm.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
he said his job is now changed to something else. So can you speak on that, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap it up, and I let the audience know more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's natural for us to be afraid of new technology. It's 100% natural. Our brains are designed to protect us. And I think we need to have a healthy fear of technology in order to put policies and things in place to protect us. If you actually look back when electricity was invented, people thought it was dark magic. People were scared of the telephone. They thought that you were going to communicate with the dead, right? So it is good to have a healthy fear, because I think it will protect us from going overboard. Yes, there are going to be some jobs that get replaced. The way I look at it is that you're more likely going to be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI than just being replaced by AI, because there is still a human element that is necessary until we get to a certain point. But the problems that we're facing these days are kind of big problems, and we can't be in the details anymore, right? I think we need to continue to get higher and start wasting time on certain tasks and retraining people to be able to have more impact. So I think that there's a good way for us to use the technology in terms of, if there are some people's jobs that do get taken, we need to retrain them so that they can be doing other. There's plenty of work to do in the world, right? There's too much work to do in the world. And that's why we need the technology to take some of these tasks that we can automate, and then people can be working on bigger problems, right? Because ultimately we're in this together. I love how you say that in the intro. We're in this together, and we should all be working together to make this a better place. If we have the mindset of AI being here to help us, we're going to do good. So that's why I think it's important for everyone to start using the technology and getting comfortable, so that everyone really can have an opinion, and making sure that we're using this in a positive way.
Excellent. I'm going to give two analogies that I always use when I'm training about technology. One being the wheel, right? Before the wheel, you had to carry everything around, and you said, what would I do? You slide it around on something, and the wheel was created. You had to choose, were you going to still use a slide, or was you going to use the wheel, right? And actually, I'm going to give you a couple of them. You can steal these if you want when you're training, right?
Love it.
Listen. Ford, you had horse and buggy. Ford came out with a Model T, and you had to decide, was I going to keep this Ford machine, this black magic, as you said, and was I going to keep my horse and buggy? Going off the horse and buggy, and it's a picture, I got to find it. My corner where I grew up on in Brooklyn used to be a gas station, right? No, excuse me. Before that, it was a blacksmith, right? And that blacksmith had to decide, was he going to adapt to the cars on this avenue, because it was Horse and Charlie, and it was the train going down. He had to figure out, was he going to adapt and become a gas station, or live as a blacksmith? And as things went, they adapted. Whoever bought that location, he had prime location. So you have to adapt each and every time. And for myself, when it came reality, my old job, this is back when broadband was called broadband, but it was DSL, right? It went from regular dial-up, which you seem like you're old enough, but you went from regular dial-up when you pick up a phone and it would cut you off, to having two lines in your house, which was one was for your DSL, right? And then now you went from DSL to adapting to go to, 5G technology. And when they came in one day and gave us all shirts, this is I'll say AT&T. AT&T gave us shirts and said, we're going from broadband to Uverse, which was the next technology. And I was in the broadband field, right? They came in my organization and gave us a shirt saying, welcome to Uverse. You're going to have to figure out, are you going to adapt to what's coming new and what's emerging, or would you sit back and let it take you over? So I definitely agree with you. It's hard for some people to adapt to technology, adapt to anything new. So it's not only technology, but anything new. But you're either going to get left behind or not. So I think for myself and you and others like us is to help others understand and give those analogies of how how things can be left behind, and let them know that it's not that hard, or we're here to support them in that, learning new things. So I'm going to lean on you to help me learn some things. I dip and dab with it, but I'm going to lean on you to help me. I lean on you now, your videos, to help me learn some new things that I can do with AI and Chat GPT and technology as a whole. And anyone out there that wants to, definitely reach out to your Tech BFF or any technical questions, please definitely reach out to the guest today and let her know that at least you heard her voice and you want to know more about it. You can reach out 762-333-2032, 762-333-2032, or go to cousinEdsCorner.com, cousinEdsCorner.com. Across top of the page, hit leave voicemail. Leave a voicemail for her, and I'll definitely share either text or voicemails with her. And listen, I want to have you back. I tell everybody, once you come down, the brown is under the cabinet, the clear is above next to the red cups. You are welcome to come back. The keys under the mat. Just please ring the bell before you come in. All right.
That sounds like a plan. I love it. I appreciate you having me.
Definitely. Do you have any last closing words you'd like to leave with us?
The last thing I'll say is that, it's normal. It's normal to be scared of technology. But the best thing to do is just expose yourself to it a little bit at a time, get comfortable with it. There was a day that we didn't have the internet, and that was a brand new technology. And now it's something that some of us can't live without. That's where we are right now. Is we are at the beginning of this journey, and it's absolutely normal to be scared and worry of it, but jump in. I think you'll be surprised at the ease of it, and I'm here to support you.
Definitely. Well, this is definitely Queen out there. Like I said, I'm not even sure. These shows are organic. When my sister wins, we all win. So I'm going to brand you with that, because you're winning right now. So definitely I'm going to brand this show with that. But I may, like I said, may do a Freaky Friday or a Fresh Friday or something, because you're so cool. I love that. I love that fedora that you're wearing. I love it. So I may put this out on a Friday, because it feels like a Friday with having you on the show. So I thank you very much, everyone out there. I love each and every one of y'all. Y'all know it. There's nothing you can do about it. Be fresh, be free. Definitely take on some new technology and enjoy yourself. It's your boy Cousin Ed, and I'm out of here. Peace.
Hey everyone, this is Leah from your Tech BFF.ai. I'm so excited to announce that I'm a guest on Cousin Ed's Corner podcast episode, When My Sister Wins, We All Win. I shared my journey of teaching people how to use AI to work more efficiently and get time back in their lives. Don't miss this empowering episode, available now on all podcast platforms and at www.cousinedscorner.com. Join me and Cousin Ed's Corner podcast in celebrating the victories of all of our sisters. Tune in now and be part of the conversation.
Thank you for listening to Cousin Ed's.